What's up, everyone? Thomas here with ForReel, and I am on the line with my wonderful friend and fellow South by Southwest virtual attendee, Taylor Baker from Drinking the Movies. Taylor, we are at it again with another film festival coming up. How are you feeling about it?
I am feeling like it's the second festival of a very long year that somehow just started. I am very excited to get to these directorial debuts that are very much of a different tone than what we had a chance to see at Sundance. And I'm trying to start pacing myself for, 6 months from now when we're at VIFF.
Yes, after going through last year with all the festivals that we did then, I learned a lot about my bandwidth.
And me both.
Yes. And so pacing ourselves is a really great idea, which makes me want to give a shout out to publicists who are getting us access to screeners and screener links ahead of the festival.
Crucial.
It's very crucial for us to be able to do our jobs as efficiently as possible. And when there's so many movies we want to get to, I really appreciate, I'm sure Taylor, you can echo the sentiment, really appreciate getting screeners ahead of time when we have the time to be able to watch things and process them and write our content or cover the films in a timely fashion.
Yes, yeah, for me and my entire team, the fact that we can get a screener, know when the embargo lift is, I can get it to them, have them acknowledge the assignment, and then turn it back in and publish when the embargo lifts. It totally changes the game from stressed out, frantic reaction writing that happens in the midst of the festival.
Right. I'm looking at my schedule and I can see, South by Southwest starts March 11th and it goes to the 20th. And I kind of planned out the things that I think I want to see, and I have a tentative schedule, and I'm looking at my Sunday the 13th and thinking, wow, that is a lot of movies that I want to get to in one day. And to be fair, so the format for the festival this time is that movies will have debut times every day at 9 a.m. and then they'll have 48-hour windows to watch. And so most of them have
That's the online screenings.
I'm sorry, for online
hybrid format. Yeah.
With South by Southwest doing a hybrid format, we're covering it virtually, kind of like I mentioned, but they are doing an in-person festival as well. And so they have their schedule online for the in-person experience, and I have not had the privilege yet of going to South by Southwest, but one of these years I think that would be a really fun thing, and maybe we can make that a joint trip sometime, Taylor.
Yes, once it seems like COVID might actually be on the way out, so maybe next year we could actually pull it off. But yeah, this year their main theatrical releases are A24 films. You've got X from Ty West, which is going to play for everybody wide theatrically on the 17th, but it's going to have its debut before that. They've got the A24 film Marcel with the Shoes On, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which comes out after the festival ends on March 25th. And then they've got Bodies, 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 which we don't currently have a second release date for, but that's going to be playing at the festival too. Those are pretty good titles.
Yeah, I mean, titles that I'm excited for and that I wish I could just fly to Austin to go see. Not in the cards this year, but for anyone who is attending the festival in person or who is in or around the Austin area, there's certainly on the film festival side lots of really cool things to be experiencing. Lots of cool titles to experience at the festival in person.
Yeah, especially Bodies, 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 and Marcel with the Shoes On. We don't know if those are even gonna actually come out this year, so being able to see it would be awesome.
Totally. Yeah, but for the online version, 48-hour windows, I think there's an RSVP system that they have. If you have a pass, you can RSVP to most movies. There are some movies that don't need an RSVP, so kind of check what badge you have and what access you have if you're attending virtually. So yeah, Taylor, you have much better notes on South by Southwest than I do, so we're riffing off of your notes today.
All right, let's start with my notes. We're gonna do the online films that I'm most anticipating, because there's lots of films that are playing South by Southwest in person, as well as television shows like Halo and Atlanta season 3 that are only playing in theaters down in Austin. So we're going to stick to online, the online portion of this hybrid festival. So the first title that I have is Jeff Baina's Spin Me Round. This is a follow-up to The Little Hours and Horse Girl. It's a collaboration again with Aubrey Plaza and Allison Brie. It looks like it's kind of a comedy, adult-oriented comedy, and it's just one of those films that sounds like a great time in the middle of a festival where we're watching so much stuff that's taking up bandwidth that sounds like it's going to be a more relaxing, a possibly fun watch.
If you followed my coverage at Sundance, you say Aubrey Plaza and I am sold, right? So I actually don't know a whole lot about
fan of Emily the Criminal here, huh?
I kind of like that one, but I loved Aubrey Plaza.
Okay.
She has a line in that movie that is like going to be my favorite line of all movies this year, I'm sure. Or at least it's going to rank up there. But Aubrey Plaza.
What line?
Oh, when she's in the interview and they say
oh yeah,
I'm gonna let you guys watch Emily the Criminal and get to that internship.
It's a great moment.
It's a wonderful moment. But yeah, Aubrey Plaza, I love her performance. I love kind of her presence on screen. I love the roles that she chooses. I kind of got hooked on her after Black Bear, and again, if you follow my coverage, you know how much I like that movie. But yeah, Aubrey Plaza, say that and I'm sold. So I don't know a whole lot about this film except for that. And
have you not seen The Little Hours or Horse Girl or Joshy? Wow.
No,
okay. He's
homework for me.
He's definitely like an independent comedy guy that's got like a darker bent to his writing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hopefully it's, the fun buddy comedy, even if it's dark, that I want it to be, because Allison Brie and Aubrey Plaza just seem like a great meshing.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What's one of the films that you're anticipating?
You know what? So this one, I have had a chance to see it already, but I want to bring it up because it is certainly, it has a very bizarre premise that I don't know. I don't know if it's like off-putting, but the one that I want to see, or that I want to talk about, is I Love My Dad. I remember reading the synopsis and thinking, this can either be really good or really weird. And so I went back and watched his original, that director's original film. His name is James Morosini. I watched his previous film, Three Something, which has kind of an equally bizarre premise of this threesome with two best friends and a mutual friend gone wrong.
It's a funny premise, at least.
Right, it's a funny premise, and there's certainly a lot of awkward comedy that happens in that film. But I think that I watched that and got a really good sense of like the awkward comedy that James goes for in his films. And yeah, the premise reflects that here with I Love My Dad, which is about a dad who is kind of estranged from his son and wants to be a part of his life, and the way that he finds to do that is to make a fake profile with a really attractive girl and catfish his son. Yeah, I recommend it, and I'm interested in your take, Taylor, on that title.
We do have to be careful because the embargo.
Right.
I echo your recommendation of the film. I think that the reason why, I haven't seen Three Something, but I'm going to guess that the reason why this works in quotations so well is the supporting cast around him is very great. Like, you have Rachel Dratch in a throwaway role as Patton Oswalt's girlfriend for now, who's like his superior at work, and she's always been amazing, but she just brings a certain seriousness to a character. Like, she says a line to Patton like, well, you're bad at sex, that's why I want you to sext me instead, you owe me. and it's just like, oh my god, like this guy just got owned, and it's like just normal day-to-day life for him. And then there's the fantasies of our main character talking to this catfish girl in his lived reality, and it's those sequences that kind of commingle and coalesce into a film that is much more put together than I would have expected when I started the film. We obviously can't say too much more than that.
Exactly. Lil Ray Howery is also in it, and it's so funny how
That's right, he is.
he picks up these. I mean, if you watch Free Guy, he has this supporting role in Free Guy as like the best friend that kind of shows up and helps out the main character. And he carries the same kind of role, and he's just as good at it. Like
yes, he has been typecast, and he always delivers his typecasting. He's like Eric Andre. Like if you typecast this guy in the right role, you get everything you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, lots of good reasons to check that one out. And yeah, I just was very happy.
Control is worth the view alone, just to see a new director learn how to control tone. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Cool. What else you got?
I have Eli Horowitz's The Cow. This is a off-kilter, maybe horror movie. It's hard to say. I think it's from the Midnighters section, and it stars Winona Ryder and I think Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDermott. I get those guys confused all the time. But they both double book a cabin with another couple, and then in the middle of the night or something, the husband leaves her with the other couples, with the woman from the other couple, and that's all you really know from the synopsis. It's just, that sounds intriguing to me. Winona Ryder is at worst fascinating to watch a performance for. So I'm just in on premise, and this is her directorial debut, so I can see one of my favorite actresses and see a directorial debut at the same time. Works for me.
I think South by Southwest this year, there's a lot of documentaries on the docket, but the next genre that seems to be very prevalent in the lineup is this mystery horror suspense kind of genre. And the
Emergency Master, this X, Bodies. Yeah, absolutely.
So lots of that, and I love it.
The Watcher.
The Watcher. Yep, absolutely. And so yes, I am in on that genre, and The Cow is on my schedule, is on my list of things that I really want to see. Primarily for the premise. I thought that the premise is super interesting, but like you said, Winona Ryder is definitely an attraction to watch and enjoy. And I think I like mystery in film, and so I'm very interested in how this one unfolds. And
finding something intriguing that holds your attention, especially in the middle of the festival, it's a beautiful thing.
And what have we said? What have we said before about 90-minute runtimes?
That they are the best.
Wonderful.
Only beaten by less minutes.
But only yes. Now look, as we know, we'll watch anything that's good, however long it is. But man, at these festivals,
you're talking to a guy that saw the Batman 3 times.
Yeah.
I'll watch anything.
Yes, I will not be watching.
But in the middle of the
times.
Festival, yeah.
Right. So this one clocks in at a very breezy 90 minutes, and that also appeals to me as well. So yeah, really cool one that I'm looking forward to.
All right. The next title that I'm anticipating is the directorial debut of Michael Morris, called To Leslie, which stars Andrea Riceborough, who also serves as a producer on the film, Allison Janney, and Stephen Root. It's about a West Texas mother that wins the lottery, squanders all of the money, like instantaneously, leaving behind, in the words of the synopsis, a world of heartbreak. Then years later, with her charm running out and nowhere to go, she fights to rebuild the life that she had and find redemption. Now, it's interesting to me because this is actually a director that has work behind him. He'd been part of 2 limited series, The Slap and Political Animals, before doing this. And so that speaks to a possible quality of the film and direction. And then 3 heavy hitters like Andrea Riceborough, Allison Janney, and Stephen Root. This is hopefully going to be one of the better ensembles that I get to see at the festival.
This one, was it, give me the name of that one again? I don't think it was on my radar.
To Leslie.
To Leslie. Cool. I'm logging it. I'm gonna see if I can get it.
You may not like this detail. It is 119 minutes.
Oh no.
Thomas deletes it right off his list.
Oh no, what am I ever gonna do about that? Yeah, it sounds interesting. Allison Jenny is a talent that I typically turn up for, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
What's the next title that you're anticipating?
You know what? So the next one I'm going to talk about is this film called Stay the Night. Is this one on your list?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I did register for every movie, but
you just came prepared, right? So the synopsis reads, at a time when dating apps and casual hookups are the new romance standard, reserved and very single Grace feels like an outcast. But when she meets Carter Stone, a professional athlete on the outs who has his own decisions to make, she wonders if maybe Carter is the perfect solution to her problem. After their first attempt at a one-night stand goes awry, they end up spending the evening walking and talking through the streets of Toronto, leading them to a connection neither of them expected. I think this falls into a set of romance genre that will appeal to me because it doesn't seem like it's trying too hard. At least from the synopsis. I kind
what
of
it made it sound like to me?
What's that?
It sounds like it's trying to be shithouse, but it won't be shithouse.
Maybe
So,
that definitely
wandering around the night. That
yes, I can see the
shithouse.
Right, but I like walk and talk like that, and I don't know if it'll be as good as shithouse, but
lower those expectations.
It has, I guess, right. It has that sense of minimalism that I appreciate in romance stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. I'm double checking. I think this might be a sophomore film from.
I think he'd done an anthology film previously.
Renuka.
Okay.
I hate mispronouncing directors' names, but Renuka. So a lot of TV in her career. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out and how endearing it might be, and like how close it gets to shithouse, because I do love shithouse, and obviously on the subject of shithouse, Cha Cha Real Smooth is also playing at the festival.
Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yes, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's that it seems like it'll be a nice kind of a nice mellow film with hopefully a lot of chemistry between its two characters, and 94 minutes.
There you go. I have a film for you. You're gonna love this.
Am I?
87 minutes long. It's a directorial debut from directors Joseph Winter and Vanessa Winter. It's called DEADSTREAM. Okay, yes. This is a midnighter. Yes. It stars Melanie Stone, and it's about a internet personality who tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself spending one night alone in an abandoned haunted house. He accidentally pisses off a vengeful spirit. His big comeback event becomes a real-time fight for his life as he faces off with the sinister spirit of the house and her own powerful following.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds right up my mid-festival alley.
Here's my question with DEADSTREAM, because the premise registered to me. Like, that's like, yes, that looks very interesting. But when you land on the page, the header image is of, I presume,
very
the main
silly
character. It's a very silly header image. And so is this horror comedy? Like, I
think so, because it is. I mean, you would assume so because it's an internet personality,
right,
trying to win back their following. And here on Letterboxd, the genre is comedy horror.
Right. It's just not listed as comedy on South by Southwest, and so I was.
That's because it's under Midnighter, probably.
Probably. I mean, you can have comedy horrors and still be a Midnighter. I mean, I think of the one that always comes to mind is Drag Me to Hell. That would be, I would consider that a Midnighter. But yeah, I'm a little concerned about the comedy, right? Because I'm very particular with comedy that I like and connect with. And it can be kind of tricky to pull off in a horror film. And
Horror
I
films are inherently silly, so
and I
to
and I
me,
and I
comedy
don't
horror
and I
works
don't like
together.
silly. I don't like silly. It has to be done right, and I can't define right. But my drawback is that cover image, honestly, and I hate to judge a book by its cover. I'm going to try to see it and fit it into my schedule. The premise definitely works for me, but man, that header image just really is kind of off-putting for me.
That's I thought the same thing, but then like as I just calculate, like, well, in the middle of the festival, I'm gonna be tired, and like a
Mhm.
a cheesy horror comedy is gonna be delightful, especially a nice short one that changes the pace before I go watch a foreign language film that takes 2.5 hours of reading subtitles.
That's a good point, and maybe I can use it for that. I think that the premise, as alluring as it sounds, I also can't help but liken it to dash cam, which it won't be.
I mean, nothing is dash cam.
No, nothing's dash cam, and I mean that's both a good thing and a bad thing, because I now have this dash cam standard to hold
And
influencer
just to be
horror
clear,
films
this is
to.
Rob Savage's dash cam, not
Yes.
the other dash cam that came out last
Oh
year.
yes, yes,
That
yes.
is
Sorry.
supposedly one of the worst films that like ever released.
Yes.
And it really sucks that two movies, both called dash cam, one is amazing, one is terrible, came out the same year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rob Savage's dash cam and the way that he incorporates the special effects like just flawlessly. And yeah, it's not going to be that.
I wholeheartedly recognize that it is unfair to compare anything to dash cam, and I know that this isn't the same thing, but it kind of
I thought
has
the
that
same exact thing, Thomas.
Yeah, it has a lot of the same components, and yeah, you just dash cam. I need that movie to release so that I can revisit it. But anyway, not to take the light away from Deadstream. It certainly is intriguing, and I'm hoping that I can fit it into my schedule. So
what's another title that you're anticipating?
Let's do one more. There is one that seems interesting to me. It is called Soft and Quiet. Let me get back to this synopsis. Again, horror thriller. I'm loving this genre. Really loving this genre at the festival. The synopsis reads: playing out in real time, which was a big selling point for me. Playing out in real time, Soft and Quiet is a runaway train that follows a single afternoon in the life of Emily, a female white supremacist and elementary school teacher. Emily organizes, right? Emily organizes the inaugural club meeting of Daughters for Aryan Unity, and she indoctrinates a group of alt-right women. When they all decide to move the meeting to Emily's house, they stop at the local store to pick up refreshments, where an altercation breaks out between two mixed-race Asian sisters and the club that spiraled into a volatile chain of events. I mean, I don't like, this is such a unique approach to a thriller story, and just the synopsis is something that might be off-putting to some people. Might get to female white supremacists and be like, I don't want to see this. But you know what, that makes me want to say, what exactly does this filmmaker have to say about this particular this very interesting dynamic for a story.
I think I read the beginning of that and was like, probably not going to be for me, but I clicked RSVP anyways. Like I said, I RSVP'd everything.
Of course. Writer director is Beth de Arujo.
Directorial
debut. And so that's a very strong premise to come out on a directorial debut with. I mean, I am so fascinated by this and can't wait to see how it goes.
It's definitely a premise. I'll give it that. Definitely a premise. Can't take that away from it.
But again, the big selling point for me was happening in real time. I think that that's a concept,
over the course of one afternoon. I like that.
Right, exactly. And I think that that's a concept that isn't played enough with in cinema, where you do follow characters in real time. And I can't
Boy,
wait
do I have a recommendation for you.
Yes.
A Lot of Nothing.
Yeah.
It takes place over the course of one afternoon.
Yes.
It is it is doing a lot of the things that you like. I would liken it to something like Malcolm and Marie.
Mhm.
I believe that was the Sam Levinson film last year, 2021. Yeah, we're in 2022 now, not 2023, right? Yeah, okay.
Right.
And it's also a directorial debut, and it's about a African-American couple living next door to a white cop who shoots a child before the film begins, and them going to confront him, we'll say. And I will leave it at that. But it is, all the events take place over one afternoon, and it is definitely as charged as that synopsis for the previous film sounds.
You have been talking about this film for a couple of days now, and I am excited to see how that turns out. So it's on my radar, and I can't wait to see exactly where it falls on my ranking list for South by Southwest films. It sounds like it's going to be pretty high.
Yes. But that was a riff. That's not my actual next film that I am most anticipating.
Yeah,
I just had to speak on it. The next film that I'm most anticipating is Ramin Barani's Second Chance. It's a documentary about a bankrupt pizzeria owner who goes on to invent the bulletproof vest. And if I go find the synopsis, I think I can find out that he shot himself point blank 192 times to make this vest. It's an 89-minute documentary. The cover art looks absurd. It's this middle-aged, slightly overweight Midwest white guy that's wearing a bulletproof vest and short shorts. It's like, it is kind of exactly what I'm looking for in documentaries at this point of the year that aren't documentary film festivals. Something unique, something that really speaks to a specific like invention or perspective and the story of one thing and all the different angles that you can approach through that. So Second Chance is one that I'm very much so anticipating.
Fascinating. I have not put this on my radar yet. But
it is part of their festival favorites. So festival favorites is a section they have of other film festival films that are playing, and that's one of them. I think it played Sundance, and neither of us had seen it. How about you? What's the next film that you're most anticipating?
From here, I think maybe the last one that I'll point out this time is this film called JETHICA. Yeah, let me go pull up the synopsis for this. JETHICA.
I can tell you that it's a film directed by Pete O's, and that is as much as I remember. I'm also anticipating this film.
Who wants to guess what genre JETHICA is? Who wants to guess?
I'm gonna guess that it plays in Midnighters.
I'm gonna tell you that that's correct. And actually I think it's Visions. It's in the Visions.
Oh, is it
category.
Visions?
It is, but it could, I mean, it is definitely a thriller.
Why don't you mention your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about it is that, so
here's a hint, it's 70 minutes. That's your favorite thing about it.
You know what? I haven't actually gotten to the runtime. 70 minutes. Yes, all about it. See, didn't I tell you that these shorter films, they know what they want to do, and they just get right to it. So anyway, comedy, drama, thriller, and the synopsis reads: Jessica lives in fear of a man named Kevin who follows her everywhere she goes. While on a road trip, she reconnects with Elena, an old friend she hasn't seen since high school. Elena has been hiding out at her deceased grandmother's ranch in New Mexico. When Kevin mysteriously appears at the ranch, Jessica and Elena seek help from beyond the grave to get rid of him for good. But Kevin is different from other stalkers and won't move on so easily. Yeah, I mean, I'm all about it, right? I think that it also has an interesting cast that includes Callie Hernandez, who I'm familiar with from The Flight Attendants on HBO Max, and
Thomas's favorite show
I
of
love
all
that
time
show.
last year.
Maybe not all time last year, but that was a good show, and it's good that it didn't come out the year that that Undone came out, because Undone was my favorite show from that year. But yeah, no, The Flight Attendant is a very good show, so rewatchable and amazing.
I got a lot of texts of I'm watching The Flight Attendant, and I was like, "You just finished it?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm watching it again."
Watching it again. I might watch it again. It is so good, so good. It also stars Will Madden, who I actually had the opportunity to speak with when he was in the Sundance film Beast. And so interesting cast, written, produced, cinematography by, edited by Pete O's. And I personally love films with a filmmaker who is wearing multiple hats. Obviously we do like writer director combos, but when you're also in the cinematography and the editing as well, that and whatever other components they might contribute to.
And we all just heard Thomas deeply compliment Steven Soderbergh. Round of applause for Thomas.
We will address that on another podcast. But yeah, I do like when filmmakers can wear multiple hats across all components of filmmaking, and so yeah, this kind of speaks to me in that sense. And yeah, like I said, it's in the genre that I like. It's 70 minutes. Yeah, let's do it.
my last plug for most anticipated that I haven't seen, we'll say, is a episodic. Actually, it's directed by Ethan Hawke, called The Last Movie Stars, and it's about Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. I think that it already has a distribution deal, maybe with Showtime. I can't remember exactly who. It's a 6-episode series. I think that they're only going to show us the first episode, but this is one that I'm very deeply intrigued by, because Ethan Hawke is one of the best performers of our era, and seeing him pick up the camera to tell a story about actors that influenced or inspired him, I think is going to be leaps and bounds above anyone else kind of touching this content, because he'll be able to really get there and come at it from a place of morality as well, because of Paul Newman's, Newman's own pizza, pasta sauce, all that stuff. It's a charitable, successful corporation. So there's a lot to dig into. I'm looking forward to it. And it sounds like there's going to be reenactments from performers, big time performers in this series as well, of the words that Joanne and Paul wrote back and forth to each other. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, this one did pop up on my radar. I have a hard time prioritizing episodics, because it typically is like the first episode, or maybe if the first few episodes of a series. And I kind of theoretically hate the idea of only getting part of a show and then having to wait for the rest of it.
I felt the same way, but then last year here at South by Southwest, I watched season 3 of The Girlfriend Experience, the first 3 episodes,
right?
And it ended up being, if not my favorite, top 3 favorite things that I watched at the whole festival. So
yeah, and I actually think I am going to cover some episodic components of the festival. In fact, I'm looking at covering some episodic components and immersive experience components as well. South by Southwest is just a very sprawling entertainment festival conference thing. They cover so many.
Yeah, this film festival has dozens, almost 100 shorts. It has tons of different documentaries and features, and then it has over 20 from what I think I saw of the VR experiences.
And I mean, that's just the film festival side of things. Like, then they have conferences and music festivals. Like, I just don't know how they put all this into one festival.
And the comedy festival. Don't forget about the comedy festival.
And it's really nice that the film festival is kind of able to riff off of that. 24 beats per second, I think, is a segment where it is the more music oriented side of the film festival, which makes sense since the music festival is such a big component to what South by Southwest is. And so yeah, I kind of appreciate that that there's a huge festival part of it, but the film festival can also kind of touch on some of the other things that South by Southwest kind of promotes and stands by when it comes to entertainment. So yeah, I'm hoping to dip my toe into different components outside of just feature films. I want to do some short films, some episodic stuff, some VR, immersive things, and hopefully I'll have time for it.
Yeah, I was about to say the only thing I'm hoping for is time.
Time. Yep.
Now some films that we've already seen at Sundance.
Yes.
Beaumont couldn't join us today because he's sick, but we're going to speak on his behalf, or at least I will.
Yeah.
There's 4 films that played at Sundance that one of us or all of us really felt passionate about. The first of which you can already guess, Cha Cha Real Smooth. Cooper Raife's sophomore follow-up, The Shit House, starring Dakota Johnson and Cooper Raife himself. The film's already been acquired by Apple TV Plus, but you have a chance to see it, I believe, on March 19th during, which is a Saturday, I believe. During the screening, you only have the exact amount of time that the film runs to see it. So you don't have that same 2-hour block that Thomas talked about at the beginning. You have to start, I believe, at 9 or 10 a.m. Central Time and finish with everyone else. But it's a great film and absolutely worth taking the time out of your schedule for. That's unanimous. Me, Beaumont, Thomas, we all love that movie. Next, I'll get to Emergency, and I'll let Thomas speak a little bit further on this.
Oh yeah, I brought this up earlier. Emergency, right? I think that this is a film that has a lot of mainstream appeal, I think, with kind of the production value and the comedy, and also the themes. I think it's very relevant to a lot of what America is kind of dealing with right now when it comes to racial profiling. And
it has Thomas's favorite feature in a film, a great ending.
Oh yes, this movie ends in a way, in a much more emotional way than it might imply throughout the course of this evening, right? So yeah, I think that Beaumont and I had the chance to kind of watch it. We kind of synced watching it virtually at Sundance, and we both loved it, and enjoyed the experience. And I think that there are a lot of people that are going to really appreciate this movie, especially with how it ends and the characters that are in it, and how they deal with the situation.
How did you feel about the actual end? Remember when the 2 girls come up to the door and one wants to read a note?
Oh yes.
Right, because the moment before that, where there's police involved in a hospital, like that's amazing. Great tension,
yes,
excellent tonal execution.
Yeah,
I thought that the second ending, which is when they're talking and the door gets shut during that note, I thought that was fantastic. What did you think?
Yeah, I think that this movie has a lot to say, and there's a reason there's 2 endings, right? I think that they yeah, there's something to say, and it's very what's the word, succinct. It's very clear in like how and what it wants to get across. And so
yeah, but it doesn't force it.
It doesn't. It is very organic. It's very organic, and I appreciate that in movies like this that are trying to communicate this social problem that we're dealing with, at least here in the States, and yeah. So I appreciated a lot about that film, and like I said, I think that it's going to play well with mainstream audiences. I don't think that
I do too. Maybe it did get picked up, but I was surprised to see it was playing as part of this festival, because it just seems like a title that would have been acquired and put on the shelf until they're ready to let everybody react to it together. Yeah. So the next title is Beaumont's favorite film of Sundance 2022, and that is Fire of Love, which is narrated by Miranda July. It's about a volcanologist couple who kind of set the, I guess, volcanology forward, in a way that had never been done before. They personally sacrifice and go through tremendous experiences, and had videography, and were directing, or not directing, but they were shooting their own lives as they were going through these experiences, studying volcanoes for, gosh, what was that? At least 20 years from what I remember. It's been a couple months since we saw it. But it does have a distinctive visual appeal. I didn't care for it quite as much as Beaumont. I don't think you did either. But since he's not here, we will echo his sentiment of it is a film worth engaging with, especially if you are not as bogged down with titles as Thomas and I are. If you're not trying to watch 5 to 10 films a day, it is definitely a film to spend the time with and really let resonate with you after it ends.
Yeah, and I think especially among the genre of documentaries, I think this one will be a highlight. I mean, I can't say that for sure. We'll have to go through and see how the other documentaries turned out. But this was such a highlight among documentaries for me at Sundance that I think a lot of people will appreciate it here at South by Southwest. Yeah, Beaumont, yeah, far and away loved it a lot more. I can't even put into words.
He's putting it over Cha Cha real smooth. He's putting it over After Yang. He's a lunatic.
He loves this film, and his review, if you want to read why he likes it so much, his review is published on moviesforreal.net. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think again, kind of speaking to the idea of people wearing multiple hats, what I liked most about it is the cinematography. The vast majority, if not all of the film, is archival footage from these volcanologists, and the film addresses this too. It looks like it was intentionally filmed to be made into a film by people who are volcanologists before filmmakers,
because they needed money.
Yes.
So they needed to shoot these exciting things to get more money.
Exactly. But it wasn't just like this obligatory thing. Like, they could be filmmakers. Which is such a different discipline from the more technical components of being volcanologists, right? And so I respect when people can cross disciplines, especially between creative and technical disciplines, and that is very evident here with these particular people within their professions and what they did and how they did it together so well. So yeah.
All right. Our last Sundance to South by Southwest title we recommend is Master, starring Regina Hall. Thomas and I are completely succinct on this. It is not the best film that we saw at Sundance, but it's definitely one of the more memorable films. It has a tonality and I don't even know if it's eerie or if it's just like, oh, that's fucked up quality to it. Where it's like, what the fuck is happening? What is Regina Hall seeing? What is happening in this house? Like, what is happening on this campus? Just over and over and over. Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit further? Because I don't even know what to say about the movie without giving everything away.
And that's the thing, right? You can't really talk a whole lot about it without giving things away. Again, it has a thriller component to it, but also a heavily dramatic component. And I think that, again, this is a film that's going to speak to a lot of people's lived experience with the particular situation that Regina Hall is in, with dealing with very subtle racism and trying to be a part of this culture while being Black and handle that kind of pressure. So I'm interested in hearing more about what other people think about it, and I'm happy to see that it from what I've heard, people liked it at Sundance. Looking forward to seeing what people think about it at South by Southwest. And then I don't know about the distribution situation for Master.
I feel like it was acquired, but I might be wrong. I didn't have the time to do deep dives.
Right. I would be surprised if it wasn't. It definitely has a theatrical feel to it, I think. And
this is a film that it seems like Blumhouse should just buy.
Yes, absolutely.
Just buy this movie.
Yep.
So those are the titles that we saw at Sundance that we recommend here at South by Southwest. The last plug I'll do before we wrap things up is there is a documentary playing that I had the chance to see. I can't say too much about it, but it's called Diamond Hands: The Legend of Wall Street Bets.
I want to see that one. Yes.
If you are, especially if you are unfamiliar with Wall Street Bets or WSB, if you're in the know, if you already have diamond hands, you're really not going to learn anything from watching this. But if you don't have diamond hands and you're like, what are those? This is a pretty succinct way of getting you educated on Melvin Capital, Robinhood, Wall Street Bets, Rory and Kitty. It's very much just a plain talk to the camera, answer questions documentary, but it has some archival footage and it communicates, I think, a diverse enough group of people that went through the experience that you get a grasp of this cultural phenomena that that really is kind of unprecedented. And that's Diamond Hands, The Legend of Wall Street Bets.
I do want to see this. It is on my list of things to watch at the festival. There have been a couple documentaries kind of around this subject about GameStop and Robinhood that I'm pretty sure are available. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one's on Hulu. But yeah, this is a topic that's being covered a lot. And I remember actually when this was happening, or at least when the whole GameStop thing was, became very prevalent in pop culture, I was listening to NPR and they were talking about documentaries that are being made on it. And I could just hear how prominent of a topic this was going to be in filmmaking. And here we are, it's a prominent topic in filmmaking. And honestly, that makes sense. And it hasn't, well, unfortunately, it hasn't gotten old yet. I think it's a very relevant topic. I think that there are still a lot of people...
we're still figuring out the implications of this.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole
film very much ends and the story is not done yet.
Yeah, which means we're probably going to have a lot more documentaries about it, or films about it. In fact, this whole subject of corruption is a very interesting topic that South by Southwest has covered. Last year, they debuted a documentary about WeWork. And that was interesting.
That was a really good documentary.
It was. That one is now on Hulu. And this year they're debuting the episodic version of that story, which actually stars James Franco and...
Really?
Oh yeah, it's called WeWork.
I had no idea.
The subtitle to it is called WeWork, We Crash is what it's called. We Crash. And it's a stacked cast. Hold on, let me pull it up. We Crash, where is it? We Crashed. Series inspired by actual events. It's an Apple TV production. And it's, I'm sorry, not James Franco, Jared Leto, Anne Hathaway, Kyle Marvin. So, and it covers the same subject that the documentary that South by Southwest debuted last year covered. So
fascinating. Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna get around to it because I watched the documentary and liked the documentary. I don't know if I need more content on that, but if I have time, maybe I'll get to it. But yeah,
it looks like it plays March 13th online through March 15th. Cool. Doesn't say how many episodes are premiering, but yeah, that's a good thing. I'll add that.
It says 60 minutes, so I imagine it's just the first episode, assuming they're hour-long episodes. But yeah, that kind of this
watching our wrap up where I'm just like, here's my favorite things from South by Southwest: TV show.
I hope films aren't edged out by TV shows and immersive experiences.
Well, we got to keep a competitive playing field.
I suppose so. But cool. Well, with that, I think we've kind of comprehensively covered South by Southwest. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I think we just got some bookkeeping homework. For Sundance, we did a mid-festival video. Due to time constraints, we're just going to do a wrap up, so we won't come to you in the middle of the festival with our recommendations. So in this case, definitely follow us on Letterboxd, at least for me, where I'm going to do most of my reviewing and recommendation. Thomas, follow him on Twitter, where he'll tell you, normally live tweet you what he's about to watch, and then he'll, with emojis, tell you whether or not he liked it.
That's how I roll. Hopefully we can get Beaumont on the next one. But yeah, I'm looking.
He's taking a whole week off for South by Southwest. He better have the time.
I know, right? but good though, because I think that at least a lot of the films that I'm interested in debut on Sunday the 13th. I don't know why that is, and I don't think I've looked at the schedule comprehensively. I just kind of picked movies that I wanted to see, and like 9 of them debut on the 13th, which would work. But I cannot take time off from work that week, so that 48-hour window gets really small for me very quickly.
Tight. Yeah, more like an 8-hour window. Yeah, I guess additionally we want to. I think I speak for both of us saying we are very happy that they're continuing to do a hybrid festival, making these films online available to people in America, some of the titles available around the world. It really changes the festival dynamic to allow anybody to attend, and the ability to not have to travel to each film festival so that we can still do our day jobs while we cover these is just indispensable. So I really want to echo my sentiments to, I like that they're doing theaters, and I love that they're accommodating us here at home.
And you know, we've said this before in videos, kind of like looking at the outlook of in the future of film festivals, that hopefully this virtual component can stay a part of these festivals. I think that there is an immense amount of value to it, and yeah, I look forward to one day actually going to these festivals. We're kind of bound to the local festivals like SIF and BIF, and there's a couple small ones like North Bend. But yeah, one of these days we'd like to get in person and be there in person. But it is so nice to be able to have this as an option, especially whenever we do go. Maybe we can only go for half the festival, and then we can experience the other half virtually. There's so much flexibility with it for film lovers and festival goers and people that really want to participate in this, where it was so limiting before the pandemic, where you actually had to go to experience these things. But having that flexibility is nice. And so I do want to go ahead and give my own shout out to how appreciative I am for South by Southwest keeping this virtual component, and hopefully running it very smoothly as the festival goes on.
Yeah, and I don't think it's right for all festivals, but I think especially for a place like Sundance, where it's already such a diverse festival, and there's these VR experiences, like, having it be hybrid is crucial, because how many people are just getting the VR package so that they can go through these experiences. I just think it's great to see, and it's worth supporting them on.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me on this, Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, throw that plug out there one more time. Where can people find you and your content?
drinkingthemovies.com. If you go to the about there, the about, you'll find where it says Taylor Baker, and there's links to everything if you care. How about you? Where can people find you, Thomas?
Where can people find me? Well, I'm on the internets. You can
whoa. What are the Z internets? How do I get them?
It starts with www.
Whoa. Too fast.
That's what www stands for, is whoa. Okay. You can find our reviews and content and interviews that I'm hoping to do on moviesforreel.net. ForReel, of course, spelled FORREEL. You can also connect with ForReel on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at moviesforreel. And then, of course, connect with me personally on Twitter and Instagram. I am at beingtsj. So yeah, let's get to South by Southwest. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Very cool. And until we get back on this video cast, everyone out there, keep it for real.